All right, 7:02, we're going to break into GMA right now on this 4th of July to get you caught up on what's happening. This catastrophic, historic flooding unfolding right now in the Hill Country.
Friday morning, I turned the TV on and I have kept my eyes off of it. It's the most devastating thing that happened.
Screams, horrible, horrible screams of people in the cars, not in the cars. We could just hear it.
I remember something hitting me on the head. How I recall it is the roof fell, but just next thing I know, house is gone. I'm glad I'm safe, but it does, hurt knowing that still don't know anything about, my family.
I don't know where you were on day one on July 4th, but you should have been here. Everyone was here that day working their ass off, and you were nowhere to be found.
This came at night when people were asleep in bed. Please pray for our community. Thanks.
It has been 1 month exactly since an astonishing amount of water came rushing down the Guadalupe River that you see here behind me. Good afternoon. I'm Myra Arthur, coming to you live for this 5 o'clock newscast from the Texas Hill Country. In the last month, we have learned that more than 100 people died here in Kerr County. 27 of those campers, counselors, children from Camp Mystic. As of this afternoon, we know that 2 people remain missing. Nearly a foot of rain fell on this area on those morning hours of July 4th when so many people were asleep in their beds. An estimated 100 billion gallons of water poured down that morning. Residents, vacationers, campers saying they were caught off guard when that wall of water swept down this river. Multiple warnings were issued by the National Weather Service and state agencies, but officials have continued to say that no one saw the potential for this kind of flood coming. We will continue with our flood coverage, but first we want to get to other big stories that we are following today. And this one takes us to Austin. Well, outside of Austin, as a matter of fact, Texas Democrats have fled the state looking for a way to avoid a push to draw a new elections map. Here's what we know. That push is happening and it's working, at least for now. Texas Democrats have left the state to make that happen. They are trying to prevent a rare mid-decade attempt to redraw congressional districts for Republican gain. Democrats don't have the votes to block what they are calling a, quote, racist gerrymandering map. By skipping a session today, they kept Republicans from being able to take up that issue. Governor Greg Abbott has threatened to remove Democrats from their positions, but the head of UTSA's political science department says the governor does not have that power.
You still have members who are doing their jobs. They just have followed legislative procedures to prevent a quorum, nothing more than that.
After Democrats failed to show up today, the rest of the House voted to issue civil arrest warrants. But the Texas Tribune is reporting those are only effective within the state of Texas. Coming up at 6 o'clock, we'll talk more about how this is all likely to come to an end. San Antonio police say a group of criminals left a whole trail of evidence, and now they're looking for 4 men who stole money from a worker as he restocked an ATM southwest of downtown. This happened shortly after 9 a.m. in a parking lot on South Zarzamora, just north of Highway 90. Police say the worker was servicing that money machine and had it open when the 4 men rolled up and ordered him to get out of the way. They say the criminals took off with cash boxes from that ATM. Although officers found the boxes along Zarzamora, they did not find the money or the men. Back out here in the Texas Hill Country, so many people have lost so much in the last month after that July 4th flooding. People who live in Kerr County are now trying to figure out how much it quite literally will cost them. Kerr County commissioners held a meeting today and they talked about their proposed budget for the 2025-2026 fiscal year. That budget will grow. It includes things like $400,000, a cost for autopsies that they are including. About $10 million on road repairs, which is what FEMA is estimating. They're also looking at $2 million in lost revenue from taxes on properties that won't be collected now. As a result of the disaster, the sheriff's office is also considering adding more positions. This is all still in the works, but commissioners are looking at a $71 million in total expenses cost, with a $12.5 million deficit in next year's budget. Important to note, they are not considering a tax rate increase, but they are considering giving employees a raise. The weather has obviously been at the source of everything that we have seen over the last month, and we've really watched, Adam, the recovery process, the rebuild process change, and it really feels like now, after a mild July, the heat is on out here and in so many parts of our area.
Yeah, it is. It has settled in. It's starting to feel more summer-like around here. We did have some showers in Kerr County, the Hill Country, and elsewhere over the weekend. We'll look at those rainfall accumulations and compare them to the drought monitor coming up in a few minutes. But I want to focus on what moved through late last night, early this morning, came in from Oklahoma down into Texas, and then we picked up on some of the shower activity, especially far east of San Antonio, mainly east along I-10 between San Antonio and Houston. Nothing on the radar screen right now, but the lingering clouds that we have kept temperatures locally and eastward a little bit lower than what we've had lately. It's nice to have the natural shade outside. In turn, 90 degrees at the airport here in San Antonio, 91 Pleasanton, 99 though Cotulla, where we've had the sunshine all day and we didn't have the natural shade from the clouds. Temperatures back at that triple digit mark. Del Rio, for example, 102. Kerrville right now at 92 degrees. Rain chances going forward, very slim. I don't want to say none, but slim. A 10 to 20% chance here and there. Maybe a few pop-ups Wednesday afternoon, and then again by this time next week. Look at the drought monitor and how much rain we picked up lately in just a bit.
All right, thanks, Adam. Let's take a look at traffic as we're scrolling around some different TransGuide cameras here in San Antonio. No major issues out there. Bit of a backup, of course, on I-35, typical for this time of day, but no real tie-ups to make you aware of. Back here in the Hill Country, we did get an update from TxDOT on current road conditions and operations here. Here's the latest information that we know at this point. Repairs are still ongoing on FM 1340 and State Highway 39 in Ingram and Hunt. Both roads will be closed to the general public for weeks. But first responders and residents still do have access to both of those roads. In Kerrville, State Loop 98 and FM 394, also known as the Lima Street Bridge, they did sustain some major damage, but they are now back open. FM 1350 and Center Point reopened after the damage there. TxDOT says their primary goal is to add infrastructure and maintain the safety of the roads before everything reopens. Now, in the week since the flooding has hit, we've been talking so much about how help has come in all forms and really from all directions in the aftermath. But the reality is that that help will dwindle with the passage of time. But there are some groups here in the Hill Country, this is their home. They were here long before this disaster struck. They will be here long after, and they plan to keep that work up. One such group is the Riverside Church of Christ in Kerrville. Their Sunday school classrooms have turned into supply rooms. They are now stacked with things like boots and bleach. We got a tour of what that supply effort looks like. They say this mission is a marathon and one that they will keep going. Take a look.
I never thought I would be in a position where I'm helping coordinate disaster relief. Here we are.
Chris Carrillo's church doesn't look like it used to.
It's been a storage room for clothes, for boots, for food, brooms, and buckets galore, because you need stuff if you're mucking out houses.
And some of it looks like, is in Sunday school classrooms.
Yes. This is one of the rooms where we've got, again, a bunch more cleaning supplies from all these paper towels and plates, bubble wrap. We've got fans over here.
It's all stacked and stored here at the Riverside Church of Christ in Kerrville.
We've got some boxes of food that will feed a family of 4 for a full week.
But it's not meant to stay here.
This stuff is available for people to take.
People like this woman who didn't want to be identified but heard what this church was doing.
One of your church members is actually the one that told me. She said, go by my church. She said that they'll help you, get loaded up and things like that.
Do you need manpower? Do you need help cleaning stuff? Well,
that type of thing.
You don't have to do it alone.
I know.
These supplies have been donated.
You said in the last 2 weeks this has dwindled.
Oh, yeah. In fact, as we were bringing the pallets in, They were so heavy, full of stuff that there was glue that started coming up from the wood here.
It's all been sorted by volunteers, but not just the people who fill this church on Sunday.
We have volunteers here right now from all over the country that have cared enough to come here and be a part of this.
Brings tears to your eyes.
It does. It does.
Yeah. You all are just one resource that is helping in all of this.
Yes.
And you look around at all the supplies you have, all the volunteers you have.
Yes.
I mean, I think just seeing what's here in one location, knowing that it's happening in a lot of different places.
Yeah. It's overwhelming.
It is overwhelming.
Yeah.
It shows you how large the scale of this response has to be.
Has to be, which is exactly on the back of our shirt. Here am I, send me. It's from Isaiah chapter 6, verse 8. It's exactly what so many people have done.
And Chris Carrillo with Riverside said that they will continue that mission for anyone to stop by and get what they need. That mission will go on for as long as it is needed. As we are marking this 1 month now since these floodwaters here in the Hill Country, we are checking in on people who have lost so much. Our Courtney Friedman has been keeping in touch with a woman in Hunt. Courtney joins us now live just a couple miles down Highway 39 here. And Courtney, this woman in Hunt, she has such an incredible story.
Yeah, Myra, she does. And as you know, those of us who have been back here a lot since the 4th have made very special connections with some of the locals here who, as you said, have lost so much, been through so much, and also the ones that have inspiring and pretty incredible stories. For me, one of those people is Pamela Nelson Hart. As you said, she is from Hunt, and she happened to be out of town on the day of the flood. She returned to find she'd lost 3 neighbors, 3 houses on her property, and her belongings had been swept away, including her precious scrapbooks and photo albums. Well, miraculously, a couple days after the flood, Pam's friends saw her photo album on ABC News. She called KSAT, and we were able to connect her with ABC, and they found that album.
2 miles down the river.
I can't believe that.
I'm 2 miles from the Hunt store, and that's about where it was found.
They just carried it so fast. The fact that these all didn't fall out is amazing. Well, coming up tonight at 6, the full story of what's inside those treasured albums and how finding them has helped Pam move on in her grieving process. And we also spoke about the bigger picture. Although there has been so much loss for miles and miles up and down the Guadalupe River and other rivers in the Hill Country, there are so many people are coming to help that there is such a sense of gratitude. We're live from Hunt. Courtney Friedman, KSAT 12 News. Myra, back to you.
Courtney, that's got to mean so much to people like Pam to have something that they thought was lost. We appreciate it. We'll see you at 6 o'clock.
Yeah.
As the flood recovery efforts continue, we're checking in with people in Ingram as well. They are telling our Devin Karp about their worries and why did they want the lake there drained now after this flooding. And let's take another look outside with live cam. Hot day out there. Adam Caskey was talking about what's on the radar, what could be our chances to come. He'll have your full forecast after the break. Welcome back out here live to the Texas Hill Country 1 month after that devastating July 4th flood. And neighbors here across Kerr County have been asking questions about what their neighborhoods will become, what their homes will become after all of this devastation, what the future looks like. Our Devin Karp spoke to people who live around Ingram Lake about why they now want that drained and why they say that is so important to their long-term recovery.
Standing right here next to Ingram Lake and the Guadalupe River, when the floodwaters were high, they were well above my head. And now that they've receded, this is what it's left behind here. And this is what has neighbors concerned, because if this is what's above the water, they're worried about what's below it and say this lake needs to be cleaned correctly or it's going to hurt their community for a very long time. Some flooded, some didn't, but all of these neighbors living along Lake Ingram are feeling the effects of the high water in their favorite part of Hill Country.
We're here to say thank you, but also to voice our concern about the lake. And if there's a way that we can find the resources to drain that lake.
Now neighbors like Ann are worried about what the flood waters washed into their lakes.
We don't know where our building material is, our fence, our cattle panel, our 2 docks that have sharp nails. We ski on that lake. I've taught numerous kids to ski on that lake.
I spoke with one neighbor who wanted to stay anonymous, but still wants his concerns heard about what he sees in the lake every day.
Divers that were out there yesterday that had located and then went down and looked at the stuff right out in front of our place. You know, they said there's at least 3 cars and some kind of an RV camper out there, and they're halfway buried in silt.
He says there's an oily shine to the water, bubbles coming up from the bottom that smell like methane and gasoline.
It's different, you know, it's kind of a foamy stuff, particularly when we have a little bit of south wind. The smell is pretty bad. I mean, it gets in the house, gets in the air conditioning system, it gets in the furniture.
They want the lake drained, something that Kerr County Judge Rob Kelly and Kerr County commissioners agreed with back in July and said there was a plan for, but warned it would have a high price, take a lot of time and coordination between different regulatory agencies, not to mention the endangered mussels that live in the Guadalupe River. Still, neighbors like these tell me they won't stop speaking up about the economic, environmental, and cultural future of Ingram Lake. Some of the neighbors and local business owners here say they're going to come together to form a coalition asking questions about Ingram Lake and its cleanup process. Those are some of the same questions we've been asking for the city of Kerrville and the county of Kerr. We'll keep you updated on what they say back. I'm Devin Karp, KSAT 12 News.
A lot of questions about what is in the water after all that flooding. And Adam, anytime it rains as well, people are paying close attention to that now. After this month later, we saw a shower on our way into Kerrville today, and it's just really made things so very hot and steamy out here this afternoon.
Yeah, and of course, everybody's on edge, and rightfully so, every time there's a downpour. And we had some heavy rainfall in Kerr County over the weekend, up to a few inches of rain in parts of Kerr County. The river just did a little couple-foot rise, though, in Kerrville, a brief little blip on the river level. Let's take a look at our drought monitor. I want to point this out because we have had some rain that will be taken into account in the next drought monitor that'll be issued on Thursday. So I'm going to outline right now the areas that are in drought. That's basically this white line that I'm going to put here on the screen. And the white line has all the areas, of course, that are in drought. The yellow is just considered a little abnormally dry. So everybody within this white line area, that's where we still have the drought, and that's where we've seen, in some cases, over 2 inches of rain. I mean, you get into western Guadalupe County, about 3 inches just west of Seguin. Parts of Wilson County, an inch or so. Up in the Hill Country, particularly Bandera County, 1.5 to 2.5 inches of rain. So we have seen some meaningful rain where we still have drought in our area, but most of the state, no drought situation. The potential over the next 7 days, pretty slim. I'm not anticipating much here going forward over the next 7 days, just a 10 to 20% chance, a couple of days over the next 10. That's about it. 93 was our high temperature today, so we broke a 5-day streak of triple digits. Notice we're below average too, 97, all thanks to the clouds that were overhead. And the record 105 set back in 2023. Kerrville, Daniel's backyard 95, Del Rio 104. That's in Warren's backyard. He has 2 thermometers, both reading 104 in the shade. Shirts at 92, 88 Santa Maria, 87 Seguin, Windcrest at 92 degrees. Right now, officially at the airport at 90. It will be 86 at 9 o'clock, 11 o'clock at 82 degrees. 76 tomorrow morning, a lot of sunshine. By the afternoon, just some fair weather, patchy clouds in the sky. About 99 for the high temperature and a light east wind at 5 to 10. About 100 in Castroville, 99 Rio Medina tomorrow. Bulverde, New Braunfels, Converse, 97 for the high. And there's a 10% chance Wednesday afternoon of a brief shower. And I think that's really mainly the next few days will be more along the coastal plain and closer to the Gulf Coast. But Larry, get ready for some triple-digit heat. We'll be at that 100-degree mark again starting Wednesday.
All right, bring it on. Just means you got to spend more time in the swimming pool. All right, Darren Fox with the San Antonio Spurs gets a max deal. We're going to break down the numbers coming up.
Sign your name to a new extension this summer?
Yeah, I would hope so. But like I said, man, I'm excited about what we're trying to build here.
Darren Fox will remain a part of the Spurs' future in big board sports. The Spurs and point guard De'Aaron Fox have agreed to a 4-year, $229 million maximum contract extension as reported by ESPN. Fox, who was traded by the Kings in February, averaged 19.7 points and 6.8 assists in 17 games with the Spurs before he was shut down in mid-March to repair tendon damage in his left pinky. During his exit interview in April, he said he was hoping to stay put because he likes what the Spurs are building.
Yeah, I mean, definitely excited. Like I said, man, just, I feel like, and the organization feels like guys are ready to win. And if you can open up that window for as long as you possibly can, that's always the goal.
And that does it for sports. We'll be right back. Before we go, let's take a look at what's coming up tonight on ABC's Prime Time. At 7 o'clock, it is Bachelor in Paradise. At 9, it is Match Game, followed by the Night Beat coming up at 10. We've been talking a lot about help in the aftermath of the Hill Country floods. Well, a Together for Texas benefit concert is happening on August 18th to help the Texas Hill Country communities recovering from that flood. The show will be held at the Tobin Center in San Antonio. All proceeds go to local flood relief efforts supporting towns like Kerrville and Comfort. Tickets start at $35, and you can catch the concert live on KSAT 12, KSAT Plus, and online as well. Adam.
This year, we've tallied 9 triple-digit days. We had a string of 5 in a row up until today. The leftover cloud cover from the early morning showers prevented us from hitting 100. But this time last year, we had 12. This time in 2023, 39. And this time in 2022, 55. So definitely not on the same pace, but we will be back to triple digits soon. And next week, mostly, or I should say this week, later this week, mostly triple digits and even a little above. We're about 101 by Thursday and Friday, Myra.
All right, Adam, thank you. We're going to have more coming up live here from the Texas Hill